Young and the Restless spoilers reveal Phyllis comforts Daniel and Lucy over Heather's death. Sharon's life seems to be sinking into a pit of lies and despair. In a panic, she dumps Heather's body and tries to keep it a secret, hoping that no one will ever find out. However, Sharon's efforts seem to be in vain as she has no control over the consequences of her actions. Sharon never expected that covering up Heather's death would lead to a reunion between Nick and Phyllis Summers. During this difficult time, Nick, who still has feelings for Sharon, begins to seek comfort from Phyllis, his ex. This inadvertently puts Sharon in a difficult position, where she must not only deal with her own guilt but also witness the return of Nick and Phyllis' relationship. Feelings of insecurity and jealousy begin to creep into Sharon's mind. She begins to feel abandoned and isolated as Nick slowly turns his back on her. Nick and Phyllis's bond, though not Sharon's fault, becomes a deeply hurtful factor for her, causing Sharon to have darker thoughts about keeping Nick by her side at all costs. In this situation, Cameron, who had a complicated relationship with Sharon, returns and takes advantage of her fragile state of mind. Cameron convinces Sharon that if she can get rid of Daniel, the path for Sharon to get Cassie back and reunite with Nick will open up. This is an attractive promise for Sharon, who has suffered the pain of losing her daughter, Cassie, for many years. She becomes attracted to the idea that getting rid of Daniel can help her achieve her dream of reuniting her family with Nick and Cassie. However, this plan does not go as expected. Instead of poisoning Daniel as Cameron had suggested, Sharon accidentally caused Heather's death, a death she had not intended. This sent Sharon deeper into a spiral of guilt and panic, but she continued to hide the truth and tried to move on. Sharon watched Nick and Phyllis grow closer, and her anger and jealousy continued to flare. Things got worse when Cameron kept urging Sharon that she needed to take more drastic action to save the situation. Cameron tried to convince Sharon that if she could get rid of both Daniel and Phyllis, things would go back to normal, and she could win back Nick and ease the pain of losing Cassie. Sharon, now in an increasingly unstable state of mind, began to contemplate whether or not to carry out such atrocities. The idea of killing Daniel and Phyllis became more real than ever in her mind, as Cameron continued to pressure her. Cameron's seduction and words seemed to completely control Sharon's thoughts, pushing her to the brink of insanity. Sharon continues to hide the truth about Heather's death. To maintain her cover, she decides to impersonate Heather and text Daniel to break up. This not only hurts Daniel but also pushes him into a state of complete despair. Sharon thinks that by separating Daniel and making him suffer, she can follow Cameron's plan and continue to hide the truth. However, things do not go as expected. News of a body that may be Heather's washed ashore begins to appear, creating a wave of panic in the community. Sharon realizes that time is running out, and she will soon have to face the consequences of her actions. While Daniel is suffering from the pain of losing Heather, Nick also has to deal with mixed emotions as he witnesses Phyllis's son, for whom he once had deep feelings, falling into a state of grief. This prompts Nick to comfort Phyllis, and the two slowly regain the connection they once had. In an unexpected moment, Sharon accidentally catches Nick hugging Phyllis, causing her anger and jealousy to flare up. Phyllis, in a state of stress due to worrying about Daniel, does not hesitate to criticize Sharon's behavior. This only makes Sharon angrier and sinks deeper into hostility towards Phyllis. Sharon, no longer the calm and rational woman she once was, begins to take dangerous actions to protect her secret. As Sharon struggles to cope with the stress and chaotic emotions, Cameron continues to appear and convince her that she has ruined everything. Cameron is no longer simply a voice in Sharon's head, but seems to be the figure controlling her every action. Sharon's internal struggle continues to push her to the brink of complete collapse. While she tries to keep things under control, the truth slowly comes out. Sharon and Nick's relationship is completely broken, and Phyllis is back. Subscribe to Yonder for the latest news on our channel.